Cheyenne, Comanche, Shoshone, and Ute nations. The landscape of Colorado and those who live here have experienced many social and cultural traumas since the formation of the Colorado Territory in 1861. These include the subjugation of the indigenous nations that culminated in the 1864 Sand Creek Massacre, which resulted in the deaths of hundreds of Arapaho and Cheyenne people. Colorado has also been the site of the 1880 anti-Chinese riot and the burning of Denver's budding Chinatown. The 1914 Ludlow Massacre of Union workers and their families, the unjust treatment and subsequent forced forfeiture of property and community of 7,000 Japanese Americans at Camp Apache at the Grenada Relocation Center from 1942 to 1945, and countless other traumas experienced both publicly and privately by its inhabitants. These traumas continue today. Our historical neighborhoods of color are threatened by gentrification. 5 Points, an area of Denver known for its long history of Black-owned businesses, is now home to only 20 Black-owned businesses. Like many states, Colorado is just starting to come to terms with having celebrated the historically white civic leaders through statues, street names, and neighborhood names, while grappling with some leaders such as Robert W. Speer and Benjamin Stapleton's sordid affiliation with racism and white supremacy. These traumas are not linked to gender, race, or ethnicity. We honor the experience of the multiple identities of each person. So this is Elk's statement on racism and social justice. And we felt it would be an appropriate way to begin this session. So what we're going to do now is we're going to start by introducing our people, and we have these on slides, and we just call these our credibility slides. But if you have any questions about the work that we're trying to do in these areas, just go ahead and ask us. I'm the first person there. If you go to a conference, you will likely not find me posing for pictures. Like Cynthia has like the only picture of me that I think I'm doing that you see me looking at an actual camera. And it was only because of the two people who are standing next to me that I was willing to do that. I'm Assistant Director of Learning Design at Front Range Community College. I am a doctoral student at the University of Colorado, Denver in Learning Design, Technology, and Critical Studies. So that you know that the work at least that I would like to do is technology for the public good. The work that I'd like to do is in immersive learning, making the metaverse not have the same problems that we have, and is also in critical studies in social justice. So that's me. I'm coming to this topic as somebody who's learning.
Good afternoon, everyone. Again, another one who doesn't like pictures. So this is the only picture you'll find anywhere you Google my name. And Kay happened to take my picture in my office in Colorado. Currently, I work in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. I'm the inaugural STEM Dean at Northampton Community College. When I moved to the East, previously to this job, I was the Business and STEM Division at Mercer County Community College. I have over 20 years. I started when I was 2 of instructional experience, innovation, and leadership. I spent 18 years in Colorado, in the Colorado system. So both Chris as well as Kay have been my colleague for years, as well as Cynthia. Working with them, we were recipients for NSF and different Colorado state grants in terms of innovation, immersive technology, as well as all of those trends, VR, AR, and we were the pioneer in doing it. And I'm pleased to say this, we started doing it in 2012, basically. Currently, I am a board of trustee member at the Da Vinci Center in Allentown, Pennsylvania, and I'm also on the board of director at US Distance Learning Association. You have probably noticed the accent. We'll talk about languages later. I speak 6 languages. I love traveling. And because of those languages, currently I am working on different global initiatives with Czech Republic because of my work in the STEM field, and with the college in terms of collaboration between engineering program as well as other program with France, Czech Republic, Mexico, as well as in Honduras. I am a tech girl, like, of course, anyone on this call, probably, or this Zoom, I should say. And we'd like to try, again, we bring innovation just because we want to bring innovation, but mainly the purpose of our studies and what research we have done over those 20 years in how can we add technology to improve the learning and the student experience, not doing it because we want to do it. Thank you, pleasure to be with you. And thank you for joining us on a Friday afternoon.
All right, I'm next. My name is Chris Luchs. I am Associate Dean in Career Technical Education. I've been doing it for over 18 years. And currently I am ABD in my doctoral program. My dissertation topic is looking at how community college leaders and their discourse on equity, justice, diversity, and inclusion evolved over the last 60 years. So doing a lot of discourse analysis, and that will flavor a little bit. It might actually flavor a little bit of my section. So if you like discourse analysis, awesome. If you're not a big fan, then that's fine as well. So I look forward to chatting a little bit more.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. I am Paula Marcelle, a third-year doctoral student at Indiana University. I have over 14 years of experience in teaching and developing online instruction, and I come to this from the perspective of a student. I look forward to chatting with you.
Thank you. Hi, everyone. I'm Melissa Jones. I'm a doctoral candidate in the Instructional Systems and Learning Technologies program at Florida State University. And like many of my colleagues here today, my research interests are in institutional DEI initiatives, looking at from a systems perspective at how DEI works from grassroots efforts all the way up through top leadership. And I focus primarily on instructional design and inclusive design strategies. And my dissertation research is on how large public universities are able to support their LGBTQ+ students in online environment. I've been in higher ed for about 15 years, and I've been English faculty and educational faculty, as well as an instructional designer. And most of my work has been situated in the time I spent as a campus director of teaching and learning, as well as an associate dean of academic affairs. And I'm really excited to be here with everyone today. And thank you for inviting me.
Okay, and that was supposed to just go ahead and establish our credentials. So hopefully, at least what you know is that we're not new to education. We're not new to learning design. I will tell you, we all have over a decade of teaching experience, in online learning. And Cynthia's combining the things. Yes. I know. I'm like. She is such a quant jock. I mean, she always does that. Now, I'm gonna screen share, and we're just gonna tell you a little bit about, like, we have 3 different breakout rooms. So this is our advertisement or our infomercials. You can decide which group to go to. No, you can go to any group.
Everyone else is being unbiased.
Yeah,
but somebody else is nonverbal communication.
Did I say anything? Okay, so let me screen share, and we'll tell you what ours is going to be a lot about. And ours really is something that we've been doing, especially as Paula mentioned, as you know, as some of us are being doctoral students. One of us already has their doctorate degree, but the rest of us are working on it. So Paula, go ahead. You got the first 4 slides. Just tell me when to move to the next one.
Okay, you begin. All right, so this group, we're going to be talking today about educational technology, social justice, and critical whiteness. So what we're really going to be doing is going through some terms that we will be discussing in more detail in the breakout room. Next slide, please. It's okay, about educational technology.
Okay, educational, now this is kind of our additional statement. And if you've seen our other sessions at like ELK and CULT in previous years, we've been saying this a bit. Educational technology is not neutral. Instruction is not created in a post-racial colorblind space, as much as people would like to tell you that. Really, the goal of the session, this whole session and the breakout room is really for us to examine the dominant culture and how like we're kind of like fish in water when it comes to the dominant culture. We don't even think about it. It's like breathing, it's like air. And the the workshop sessions are going to look specifically at things so that we just don't keep this dominant culture, cultural viewpoint, and we offer ourselves up to other possibilities and opportunities that we can have. Okay, Paula, do you want to take this in the next couple slides?
Okay. So the key concepts we'll be looking at are all related to educational technology, social justice, and critical whiteness. So the first term really is colorblind racism. So what do you know about that? That is simply colorblind racial attitudes, refers to the belief that one race does not matter over the other. Another term that we'll be discussing is critical whiteness. You want to discuss this one, Kay?
Okay, critical whiteness. This is where I have to park myself and my studies. I'm white, and what I have to do is really look at the meaning of white privilege, how it relates to pedagogy, and also how it's related to racism. And I'll take this one just because it's my professor. It's the first time I heard this word, was white racial epiphanies. These we might be seeing. I've had them. Okay, it's when a white person thinks about something and realizes for the first time there is a racial component to it. And we'll also be talking about intersectionality and the different ways your identity relate to how you perceive the world, how you do design, how your students look at the content. And we'll have Farah do these next four. She'll talk about these a little bit more. This is for our infomercial here, at least.
Yeah, so for the intersectionality, basically we're looking at the gap in social characterization and the complex of the intersubjective experience. The fact that there's no one single social label, male, female, bisexual, poor, that basically can ever exhaust what it means to be an individual to travel the world. So basically it's analysis or the label that we put for certain category of people. And of course, when we talk about social identity, the most common one you have race, gender, and in the last few years, I would say about 10, we have seen more and more an increase in terms of the identification and how people relate. And probably when you apply to different jobs, you have experience in terms of, well, it is incomplete or it is missing one or another category. Again, in terms of looking at languages, the country of origin, religious affiliation, or any marginalized identity. So we'll be spending more time on that.
Okay, so we'll just throw up these quick questions that we'll be talking about. Now, our breakout room is, we're going to be talking about terms. So if you really feel like discussing things, come to our session, because we're going to be doing more discussing than we're going to be doing any kind of projects. I will tell you that that's going to be different from the other two breakout rooms, and I take it all back. If you want to know the breakout room to really go to Melissa's. Okay, Melissa like shamed us a couple days ago with how complete and how worked out her breakout room was. So to let you know, if you want to leave with a deliverable, it's definitely Melissa. We're going to be more discussion. And, you know, the reason why we're going to go through all these terms is because we're going to think about educational technology, online learning, and learning in general. Again, talking about the neutral, what the current state of our instructional design and technology field is. Are we addressing these things? Or are we not? And then what can our field do to address these things? And like I said, we're framing it all in a matter of, let's discuss these terms, topic, frameworks, theories, and let's start having these discussions. And those were just the references. So I'm going to stop my share. And Chris, you can go ahead and you can do your infomercial.
Before Chris starts, so yeah. You heard from all of us, short bio, what we do. We would love to know, and we do this in every presentation that we do. We'd like to know more our audience. So could you please type in the chat, what organization are you involved in? Go ahead.
Oh, we're seeing a lot of different good representation. Northern Illinois, Tacoma, Colorado Community College System. Cynthia is from everywhere. Pikes Peak, MSU Denver, University of Colorado, Arapahoe, University of Colorado, University of Washington, Rocky Mountains. Okay, RimCAD, Karen, I don't want to get this wrong. Rocky Mountain College of Art and Design, correct? Yes. Community College of Spokane. Cool.
So pretty much we have across the state.
Yeah, and
yes, you got it right, Kay.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. I was just like, I know what RimCAD stands for.
Thank you. I'm curious, what content area do you teach or design in? If you can put it in the chat, please.
Okay, we're seeing some fun. Okay, we're seeing a lot of fun stuff. Lev is physics.
Shout out to Melissa in accounting. Yes.
Tammy's economics and finance. Laura's faculty development. Cynthia's computer science and virtual reality. And once again, she is our closing keynote. Reed is information literacy. Ben is ESL and faculty development. Mine, you can read mine. I'm no fun. Melissa's accounting. Karen is animation, game art, illustration, art, ed tech. Cool. Michaela is English and women's studies. Samantha, higher ed and leadership, HDFR. And Farah is biology. Sheila, communication studies. Clint is mental health stimulation and digital education innovation. Cindy is instructional technology. Chris, you read his bio, it's okay. So we have that one answered. Farah, what's next?
Thank you. So again, I just wanted to know in terms of, so I wanted to know in terms of, do we have, it looks like we have mainly a broad audience.
Yeah, we are broad.
In terms of location as well as in terms of expertise and subject matter area. Thank you.
Okay, so then we'll hand it over to Chris. Chris, you get to do your infomercial.
Sure. Dun, 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 dun. On this Sunday. No. So we're going to talk about diversifying your citation and maybe your standards. So we're looking at classrooms, some classroom practices. We'll be looking at citations, and when you're looking at the sort of the building blocks of when you're designing your course, looking at it, saying like selecting those different citations, those different works that you want to present to your students, and also talking about some of the decisions that are there. Obviously, I am coming at it from a cultural competency lens, since I'm coming from a critical discourse analysis perspective. Yay! It's a lot of words. Some fun topics we'll talk about in my session. is, again, we'll look at the little ingredients to your course. So we'll look at the little foundational building blocks. So these are things that, decisions that you're making when it comes to what's acceptable, what's not acceptable, when it comes to what some deliverables your students might be providing, and what you're desiring when you're thinking about designing your course. We'll also talk about linguistic imperialism, which is a fun word. It basically means that one language dominances over another. So basically the idea that there is a preferred language, and thinking about how that applies to your course, especially courses that where there isn't necessarily a standard language, but maybe there's a standard style of language. Like, for instance, a few accountants here, we have a specific language, we have a specific genre of speaking, different social structures that are there as well. Because the other thing about discourse analysis is that language is power, and that the words that we write and the structures that we create through our writings and through our words really sort of expresses power, it expresses dominance, and it also signals and sends messages to your students. So we'll talk a little bit about that. We'll also go into Yoso's community cultural wealth model. We'll also talk about Mohi et al.'s funds of knowledge. We'll also talk about some tests that you can go ahead and play with when you're thinking about selecting your content, and when you're thinking about possible analyses that your students might make, or requirements for your deliverables. And we'll also talk about intended or unintended consequences in my session as well. So definitely look forward to chatting with everybody who selects Breakout Room 2. And then I will go ahead and hand it off to Melissa.
Okay, thank you. And my colleagues are very, very kind. And I love that they're joking about my preparation, because I'm in Orlando, Florida, and it is very stormy. So if I lose power, one of them is going to have to pick up my session. So we are going to look at all of this from the practical standpoint of a syllabus. So what we're going to talk about during our session, I actually want to start with an activity. So I'm going to read this and you can read along. And in the chat, I just want you to put your first reactions to this activities policy example from a syllabus. So the syllabus reads, you must attend class to participate in the in-class activities. There are no makeup activities, and you must be present at the beginning of the activity to earn the daily participation points. In order to be excused from an activity, medical documentation is required and must be submitted within 24 hours of the missed class. So in the chat, just general reactions. Go ahead and type anything in there. What are you thinking about this as you read it? Yes, yes, okay. Okay, so these are some of the things we're going to be talking about. And we'll take a look at another example. So this is from a different class. So this is about a culminating project. The culminating project of this course is a 10-page research paper that requires students to show mastery of academic style and meets the 8 criteria outlined in the rubric. This assignment requires students to synthesize research from the library databases. Students who are unfamiliar with academic research should schedule an appointment with the Writing Center no later than the 2nd week of class. So general reactions to this policy or this explanation of a project on a syllabus. Yes, I see anxiety in there. Outside the classroom, weird, sure. Weird's one of my favorite words too. Good, vague. Okay, so let's take one more example here. This is a grading example. Note the due dates are not flexible. Any late submissions will be docked 20% per day. Submissions later than 3 days will not be accepted. Yes, per day. Okay, exactly. Thinking about COVID, what we've all been through for the last two and a half years. Punitive, yes, difficult, inflexible, focusing from that deficit model, right? What you're going to lose rather than what you would gain by turning some in. Okay, good. So these are some of the ways that we're going to approach this. So I ask you in our session today, I'm pretty much just going to pose a lot of questions for you, but I'm asking you to step outside of the boxes that we normally have for the syllabus in our course and ask yourself these questions. So what if we stopped thinking about the syllabus as a contract? We've all said it. We've all made that statement. What is the syllabus? It's a contract between the student and the class or the student instructor. What if we approached it a little differently? What if we moved away from penalty and deficit models where we had policies that only showed the negative? So what are we losing, like we saw in the grading example? And then beyond that, what if our syllabus focused on opportunities for success rather than different punitive measures that are going to be taken if a student does not do something or the information a student does not have coming into a course? So those are some of the questions we're going to be looking at as we begin shifting towards an equity-minded syllabus. There are a couple of ways that we can redefine our purpose here. So in our conversation, or even if you take it away just from this general section, thinking instead about what our syllabus could be. It could be an opportunity for us to create that first meaningful point of connection with our learners. We can place value on voices and experience and the existing knowledge of our learners. It's an opportunity for us to establish the goals of the course. We can use it as a navigational guide. We all know how difficult it can be, especially for non-traditional students or students who are coming in for their first year. How do you navigate this complex system that is the university or the college? It also gives us an opportunity to humanize ourselves. Where are we in the syllabus? And how do we show who we are as people? Even those of us who in the class are kind or open and welcoming, a lot of times in the syllabus, that's not how our personalities show up. So we'll think about what it could be. And then also we favor support in our language rather than using unintentionally cruel statements. And all of this can come together through some inclusive syllabus guidelines. And these are an adaptation from UMass Amherst. So that's all linked and everyone will get access to some of these resources. So looking at our syllabus and in our conversation that we have in the breakout, we'll focus on learning and the learner. We'll consider how in the syllabus we can present the essential questions, the heart of our courses and what we want our students to really take away from them. We'll consider how UDL guidelines can help us make more inclusive and more equitable syllabi. We'll think about language, just like Chris was talking about. We're going to get into language in my session too. Thinking about how we can include supportive course policies in what we present. There's always going to be that list of policies we have to have, but sometimes because of the length, we tend to leave out the policies that could be most supportive for our learners. And we're going to consider how we can provide diverse voices in our readings and our course content. And this is where we're going to start. We're going to ask ourselves, are diverse voices represented in our materials and in our content? Are there indicators in our syllabus of our own commitment to DEI? Do we present the expectations? And there's a section on absences. How does that read now? How have we changed that? And how can we continue to evolve those conversations? How about late work and missed assignments? And then we're going to ask a few things in terms of, are there sections that need a little bit of clarification? So thinking about these small changes that we can make to make our syllabus more inclusive. And then finally, asking ourselves questions like, is this syllabus about policies or is it about learning? So those are all of the things that we're going to talk about in my session. And I have to give a little thank you here. The slide templates that I use, this is just part of recognizing the creator here, is from a site called Slides Carnival and by Jimena Catalina out of Spain. And she is wonderful and she creates all these free slide templates. So this is just a little thank you for her work as well. So I've included that. Okay, so I will see you in the breakout sessions.
Okay, everybody. So basically what you're going to be doing now is you're going to be choosing your, which one you want to come to. And as you can see, Melissa's is very polished. and she'll be having you do activities. Chris is going to take a critical discord lens to how you do citations. I mean, think about it. When we think about dominant culture, you know, citations, APA, stuff like that, there are huge books on it. I mean, Chris, you have the book, the APA book, don't you? Yes. How more dominant can you get than saying you must use this, exactly this, and do not deviate? And then ours is going to be on terms. So everybody go ahead and join the different rooms. Terms is room 1, and you get 3 of us. So it's a 3-for-1 sale. You can go to room 2 and talk about citations with Chris. And like I said, he's really looking at some other lenses about what are you going to have your students cite and how are you going to have them cite it? And then Melissa, you know, can give a certificate just for her breakout room. Okay. And I'm not saying this in any negative fashion. I think hers is going to be fantastic.
Nor are you binding her to be offering a CEU unit.
Yeah. She won't.
I think that might be more concerning for Melissa, is that a misunderstanding. No. But feel free, pick the room that you enjoy, you found most interesting to you. And we will go hop over there. But you said you can hop in each one, and like I said, if you have to hop out, we totally understand that. Yeah. And we will see you in the breakout. So thank you very much. Bye.
How long are we in the breakouts, Chris? Just as a reminder.
Yes, we'll be in the breakouts for about 30 minutes. And then we'll come back and reconvene. Or like I said, if we're done with the breakout, after you reach your limit, or if we all have answered everyone's questions, then we'll just hop out into the main room, and you can always pop into another breakout room as well. So
I'm not seeing the room selection.
Oh, okay.
At the bottom, scroll down. At the bottom.
The little pop-up window, yeah.
And we'll be going to our Paula and Farah. If you want to go, or if you want me to go first, I can go first into our room and start talking to people.
Hey, Bill.
Hi, how's it going?
Good. How are you? Sorry, my internet is just absolutely horrendous. It's like loving.
Yes. It's okay. You can pop in, out, whatever.
Thank you. Okay, I'm gonna join Chris's.
All right.
Bye.
Hi, Cheryl. Folks have joined breakout rooms discussing the various topics. Feel free to jump in whichever one you like, or you can switch back and forth between them. Hey, Nick, feel free to jump in any of the breakout rooms. That's where all the action is happening right now.
Oh, thank you. Appreciate it.
Yep. Hi, Soma. Feel free to jump into one of the breakout rooms. That's where all the action's happening right now.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
Yep. Hi, folks are in breakout rooms, so if you want to join in the discussions there. Okay, I think we're ending the breakout rooms, huh?
How are we doing, Bill? Are all the breakout rooms still up and running, or?
I have not closed any of them.
Okay.
So I can give a 10-minute warning for folks if we want to wrap up now.
I was a little worried we were going to be the last ones back.
That was a great session. Thank you. I'm going to have to step away for a few minutes to be human before my keynote, but thank you. That was awesome.
Thank you all so much. I'm so glad you joined me for that. I know it's working with the syllabi sometimes can seem like a daunting task, but it really is about making those incremental changes that make things much stronger and make a big difference.
You know, Kay teases me about crunching numbers, right? But I always ask students, have you read the book? Have you looked at the syllabus? Have you, and for many years I did this, like for 20 years or more. And of course, the percentages were relatively low. Out of 30 students, one would have read the book, you know, before the first class. Only a handful have looked at the syllabus and not thoroughly. And so when we realize that there's limited exposure to these things, the question is where do we direct our attention to increase good communication, right?
Absolutely, and I think that that idea of how we can engage students with the syllabi is it's really at the heart of what we do as well.
I believe everyone would be more vested in it if they participated in its construction and agreed to its contents and felt great about the learning experience. Because let's face it, that's the reason we're teaching. Anyway, I will step away. I'll be quiet. Thank you.
I was also wondering, do you have examples of like upgrades or, you know, really good examples as opposed to kind of the reverse?
Yes, absolutely. They are on that second Padlet. I'm going to put it in the group or in the whole room chat too. Under the resources, there are several that have great revisions that can be made.
Cool, thanks.
Hey, everybody. Do we have everybody back yet?
Not yet. I'm looking just at the numbers.
Hey, Soma. Good to see you. I didn't see you here earlier. Hey, Cheryl. Like I tell everybody, Cheryl's my conference buddy. Okay.
You're late to the party, Kay. Everybody left. We were just sitting here waiting for you.
Oh, okay.
Just kidding. Just kidding.
Okay. So why is Cheryl so fun? Okay. When you sit next to her to a conference.
You're giving me a rep.
Yeah, she has a rep. Okay. When you sit next to her to a conference, like I'm not good at sitting still, right? Donna Hall can sit still forever, right? Okay. But you sit next to Cheryl, and Farah's actually like this too. You could talk to her like the whole time, and you can, or she'll show their phone, like, look at this, so you just don't sit quietly like in the neat row in the conference. They're both people who you make jokes with the whole time, and you show your phone back and forth, or if you have something on the paper. So it's not just that physical face-to-face conference experience. You get a back channel when you sit next to them, and it's fun.
Kay, just to remind you, we are recording this, so
it's okay. It's okay. but thank you, Bill, for making sure I don't do anything worse than that. Okay, so thank you very much for. By the way, Bill is my coworker. He is the assistant director of educational technology for Front. Yeah, there he is. for Front Range Community College. Okay, so this is basically going to be our wrap up and our closing discussion. I'll say for us in group one, we had both Laura and Melissa, and Melissa, you can critique us. We can handle it if you feel like it.
Sorry, was just trying to find the mute
button.
No,
it's okay. I totally put you on the spot for this, okay?
No, it was really good. I learned a lot, and I really appreciate it. I needed to learn those terms and to understand those terms better. So thank you.
And we're gonna Farah gave us a quiz, and we all failed. And it was only one.
Melissa and Paula did good.
Okay, okay. I totally failed it. So Farah, ask your quiz question for the full group.
Okay, type in the chat, or you can speak since we're just small group right now. Any idea how many languages are spoken in the world? Give me a number, either type it or you can say it.
I know, she told me.
Yeah, those who were in the previous session cannot participate. Well, we cheated. Okay, Bill is saying 1752. Any other number? Anyone else? Chris, what's your guess? Cynthia.
Yes, Chris, come on. How many languages in the world?
Give me an estimate, and the closer to the number will be the winner. Okay, we have 3,260. Cynthia.
And Cynthia, you can't Google, you just have to guess.
Yeah, no, please. No.
Cynthia may have left. She's up next.
Okay. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Probably.
And I'm going to have to cut out here in a little bit.
It's okay. We're just wrapping up.
7,100 spoken language in the world.
Oh, Chris, you beat me by one on purpose.
Chris is a winner. If stay on hold, we'll get your information and we'll send you the gift.
You send all my gifts to Cheryl. It's totally
okay.
We know English is the language.
I
just prices right at her. I
know it's a lot, but I was like, I don't know. I had that 7,000 number in my head, though.
She totally blew us away with that one.
So with that number of languages, how can we always expect everybody just to speak one then?
Yeah. I know. We're just.
What's up with that?
I know. and Chris, what's the term for that?
Linguistic imperialism.
So our section, we went over terms. we went over terms and we discussed the terms. We even discussed the terms amongst the 3 presenters. We didn't care. Okay. And so I'll put them, I'll just put the link there if anybody. Oh, that's our intro. No, that was just our intro. Now I'll put the real one in. So anybody else who wants to look at it can take a look at it. It doesn't have everything. This is something that we're compiling. Okay, so Chris, your room, tell us, or do you have somebody who can tell us what happened in your room?
I don't know. Feel free. Anyone who attended my session, it was a very intimate gathering of those of us looking at the citations and how we're teaching citations and how we're teaching restrictions. A lot of our discussions was looking at the material I presented as possible ways to talk with faculty and to think about, for those structural designers, to either talk with faculty or faculty themselves, think about as they're designing their courses, ways to make sure that they are giving voices to non-dominant groups. And how do we address things like indigenous knowledge structures? How do you look at funds of knowledge, where you're looking at the social, cultural, linguistic assets that your students bring to you, and how do you bring that in? Whether it's through flexibility in parameters of assignments, whether that is through going ahead and modeling that behavior yourself in your own syllabus, where you're what's allowable, what's not. We had a good discussion about like bell hooks, where the author really wanted their name to always be non-capitalized because they felt their work was more important than their name. And then you start running into issues with journals who are like, no, that should be capitalized, despite the author's desire to go ahead and look at what they're doing. The other thing we talked a little bit about was some of the challenges we've seen and some of the progress we've seen made with transgender authors who are looking to author under a different name than they may have previously done before. And how do they make sure that their previous accomplishments are still linked to, especially if they're going up for tenure and stuff like that, that they still are able to list that as their accomplishments. So good wide-ranging discussions, and also a discussion about how can we work with faculty to be more accepting of work that's done in non-English format. So for instance, whether it's a Chinese journal, whether it is a French journal, as long as it meets the requirements of being peer reviewed by academics, then is that allowable or not? Is that considered a credible source or not? So lots of those type of discussions, very fun discussion, lots of sharing of resources to go ahead and give everyone more food for thought.
Melissa, how did yours go?
Well, we had some great conversations about looking at our syllabus, I think, through a little bit of a different lens. And we kind of dissected a couple of examples that are very common, but that if you look at them a little more closely, you realize the language is pretty rough in how they're composed. So we thought about that. And I do want to share one link with everyone who's here. So that's a Padlet link. And I'm going to take just a second here to share this and kind of show everyone. You all are welcome to use this in any way that you would like. These questions are ones that we discussed, and they're ones that if you are working on revisions to your own syllabus, or if you are working with faculty to revise their syllabi, one of the things you can do is pose these questions to them as they are working through the revision process. And then I also wanted to share, my slides are here, so the PowerPoint from the big session and then from our breakout. But, and perhaps most importantly, here are some resources that give you some good examples. I know in our breakout, we talked about lots of bad examples and what wasn't working. So, to get everyone thinking about how the syllabi are composed, but these are all resources that you can use that will help you think about how to make it better, how to make it stronger. There are samples as well shifts in language. There's some explanations on how to shift language. So everyone is welcome to use these really great resources. And there's even one, this is for Chris, there's even one on the APA's suggestions for creating a syllabus that is respectful, welcoming, and inclusive. So this is for everyone. Feel free to use it however you would like. And that was kind of my perception of the breakout. So anybody who was in the room with me, feel free to jump in too.
It was a great session. I got a lot out of it. I had, you know how it is. I have new headphones, you know, and of course they have no controls. It's the Bose, you know. So, but no, it was a great session. We generative comments. I learned something from everyone's comments.
And Melissa, could you share it? I don't know if you went into our Discord for the conference yet. And if you have, can you share it? Where we have like the slide decks, and if you're not going into our Discord, let us know, and and if you're willing,
I've actually gone ahead and taken the liberty of adding all three of the links, that my links, your links, and Melissa's links. But feel free to go in and give it your own twist, because that was more of just, here are the slides.
Okay.
For this breakout, for this breakout, for this breakout.
Okay.
Do you want fries with that? That's pretty much my
So that pretty much wraps up our workshop. Thank you for being with us and participating, especially on a Friday afternoon. But we'll end it now. But we're gonna suggest to everybody that Cynthia's keynote is next. That's at 4 p.m. Mountain Time, and we hope to see you all over there at Cynthia's keynote, which is
thank you again for being with us. Thank you.
Yes. Bye bye, everybody.
Bye. Thank you.